The Book of Jubilees, chapter 33 and 34. Chapter 33. And Jacob went and dwelt to the south of Magdaladrith, and he went to his father Isaac, he and Leah his wife, on the new moon of the 10th month. And Reuben saw Bilhah, Rachel's maid, the concubine of his father, bathing in water in a secret place, and he loved her. And he hid himself at night, and he entered the house of Bilhah at night, and he found her sleeping alone on a bed in her house. And he lay with her, and she awoke and saw, and behold, Reuben was lying with her in the bed. And she uncovered the border of her covering, and seized him, and cried out, and discovered that it was Reuben. And she was ashamed because of him, and released her hand from him, and he fled. And she lamented because of this thing exceedingly, and did not tell it to anyone. And when Jacob returned and sought her, she said unto him, I am not clean for thee, for I have been defiled as regards thee. For Reuben has defiled me, and has lain with me in the night, and I was asleep, and did not discover until he uncovered my skirt, and slept with me. And Jacob was exceedingly wroth with Reuben, because he had lain with Bilhah, because he had uncovered his father's skirt. And Jacob did not approach her again, because Reuben had defiled her. And as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before the Most High. For this reason it is written and ordained on the heavenly tables that a man should not lie with his father's wife, and should not uncover his father's skirt, for this is unclean. They shall surely die together, the man who lies with his father's wife, and the woman also, for they had wrought uncleanness on the earth. And there shall be nothing unclean before I am in the nation which he hath chosen for himself as a possession. And again it is written a second time, Cursed be he who lieth with the wife of his father, for he hath uncovered his father's shame. And all the holy ones of I am said, So be it, so be it. And do thou, Moses, command the children of Israel that they observe this word, for it entails a punishment of death, and it is unclean, and there is no atonement forever to atone for the man who has committed this. But he is to be put to death, and slain, and stoned with stones, and rooted out from the midst of the people of our power. For to no man who does so in Israel is permitted to remain alive a single day on the earth, for he is abominable and unclean. And let them not say, To Reuben was granted life and forgiveness after he had lain with his father's concubine, and to her also, though she had a husband, and her husband Jacob, his father, was still alive. For unto that time there had not been revealed the ordinance and judgment and law in its completeness for all, but in thy days it has been revealed as a law of seasons and of days, and an everlasting law for the everlasting generations. And for this law there is no consummation of days, and no atonement for it, but they must both be rooted out in the midst of the nation. On the day whereon they committed it, they shall slay them. And do thou, Moses, write it down for Israel, that they may observe it, and do according to these words, and not commit a sin unto death. For I am our power is a judge, who respects no persons, and accepts no gifts. And tell them these words of the covenant, that they may hear and observe, and be on their guard with respect to them, and not be destroyed and rooted out of the land. For an uncleanness, and an abomination, and a contamination, and a pollution are all they who commit it on the earth before our power. And there is no greater sin than the fornication which they commit on earth, for Israel is a holy nation unto the Most High our power, and a nation of inheritance, and a priestly and royal nation, and for his own possession. And there shall no such uncleanness appear in the midst of the holy nation. And in the 3rd year of this 6th week, Jacob and all his sons went and dwelt in the house of Abraham, near Isaac his father, and Rebekah his mother. And these were the names of the sons of Jacob, the firstborn: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, the sons of Leah, and the sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, and the sons of Bilhah, Dan and Naphtali, and the sons of Zilpah, Gad and Asher, and Dinah, the daughter of Leah, the only daughter of Jacob. And they came and bowed themselves to Isaac and Rebekah. When they saw them, they blessed Jacob and all his sons, and Isaac rejoiced exceedingly, for he saw the sons of Jacob, his younger son, and he blessed them. So chapter 33 of the Book of Jubilees was powerful because it shows the beforehand. You know what I'm saying? With Reuben, the beforehand. Because if you know about Moses' Torah, in his Torah, he talks about never to lie with your father's wife or your father's concubines. You know what I'm saying? Because that's wicked in the eyes of the Most High. In this, the Book of Jubilees, it shows that beforehand. It shows like the act actually being played out, so that the Most High told it to Moses, and now Moses is writing it down in the Torah. So this is before Moses even wrote it down in the Torah. So that's how this is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Because you actually see it happening beforehand. And again, the Book of Jubilees, chapter 33, starting at verse 9. And Jacob did not approach her. And he's talking about one of his wife's maids. You know what I'm saying? And even though it's one of his wife's maids, so his wife's maid is a part of his wife. So basically, Reuben slept with Jacob's wife, basically, starting at verse 9. And Jacob did not approach her again. And he's talking about Bilhah. And Jacob did not approach her again, because Reuben had defiled her. And as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before the Most High. For this reason it is written and ordained on the heavenly tables, that a man should not lie with his father's wife, and should not uncover his father's skirt. For this is unclean. They shall surely die together, the man who lies with his father's wife, and the woman also, for they have wrought uncleanness on the earth. You know what I'm saying? So that's just not uncleanness for the house of Israel. That's uncleanness for the whole earth. You know what I'm saying? So to y'all young adults that think it's cool, if y'all in situations where, you know what I'm saying, you probably live with your dad and either his girlfriend or his wife, you know what I'm saying, but she's not really your mom. She's just like one of his, you know, his second or whatever. I don't know the situation, but if it's part of your dad and it's his wife or any part of his love interest, please do not play, especially if you Israel. Please do not play with the Most High and try to even approach her, let alone have any thoughts of her. Don't even let that seed, that thought seed, start to be planted in your head, because you don't want the Most High's wrath upon you. The Book of Jubilees, chapter 34. And in the 6th year of this week, of this 44th Jubilee, Jacob sent his sons to pasture their sheep, and his servants with them, to the pastures of Shechem. And the 7 kings of the Amorites assembled themselves together against them to slay them, hiding themselves under the trees, and to take their cattle as a prey. And Jacob and Levi and Judah and Joseph were in the house with Isaac their father, for his spirit was sorrowful, and they could not leave him. And Benjamin was the youngest, and for this reason remained with his father. There came the kings of Tappuah, and the kings of Arisa, and the kings of Saragan, and the kings of Silo, and the kings of Gais, and the king of Bithron, and the king of Manisakir, and all those who dwelt in these mountains, and who dwelt in the woods, in the land of Canaan. And they announced this to Jacob, saying, Behold, the kings of the Amorites have surrounded thy sons and plundered their herds. And he arose from his house, he and the 3 sons, and all the servants of his father, and his own servants, and he went against them with 6,000 men, who carried swords. And he slew them in the pastures of Shechem, and pursued those who fled. And he slew them with the edge of the sword. And he slew Arisa, and Tappu, and Sarigan, and Silo, and Amanasakar, and Gagais, and he recovered his herds. And he prevailed over them, and imposed tribute on them, that they should pay him tribute, 5 fruit products of their land. And he built Robel and Tamnatares. And he returned in peace, and made peace with them, and they became his servants, until the day that he and his sons went down into Egypt. And in the 7th year of this week, he sent Joseph to learn about the welfare of his brothers from his house to the land of Shechem. And he found them in the land of Dothan. And they dwelt treacherously with him, and formed a plot against him to slay him. But changing their minds, they sold him to the Ishmaelite merchants, and they brought him down into Egypt. And they sold him to Potiphar, the eunuch of Pharaoh, the chief of the cooks, priest of the city of Elu. And the sons of Jacob slaughtered a kid, and dipped the coat of Joseph in the blood, and sent it to Jacob their father on the 10th of the 7th month. And he mourned all that night, for they had brought it to him in the evening. And he became feverish with mourning for his death. And he said, An evil beast have devoured Joseph. And all the members of his house mourned with him that day, and they were grieved and mourning with him all that day. And his sons and daughter rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted for his son. And on that day Bilhah heard that Joseph had perished, and she died mourning him. And she was living in Crophroteph. And Dinah also, his daughter, died after Joseph had perished. And there came these 3 mournings upon Israel in 1 month. And they buried Bilhah over against the tomb of Rachel, and Dinah also, his daughter, they buried there. And he mourned for Joseph 1 year, and did not cease. For he said, Let me go down to the grave mourning for my son. For this reason it is ordained for the children of Israel that they should afflict themselves on the 10th of the 7th month, on the day that the news which made him weep for Joseph came to Jacob his father, that they should make atonement for themselves thereon with a young goat on the 10th of the 7th month, once a year, for their sins. For they had grieved the affection of their father regarding Joseph his son. And this day had been ordained that they should grieve thereon for their sins. For they had grieved the affection of their father regarding Joseph his son. Wow, that is powerful, y'all. This is the origins of the Day of Atonement. This is why the Day of Atonement came to be, right here. Let me repeat it so you can hear it. Starting at verse 17. And he mourned for Joseph 1 year, and did not cease. For he said, Let me go down to the grave mourning for my son. For this reason it is ordained for the children of Israel that they should afflict themselves on the 10th of the 7th month, on the day that the news which made him weep for Joseph came to Jacob his father, that they should make atonement for themselves thereon with a young goat on the 10th of the 7th month, once a year, for their sins. For they had grieved the affection of their father regarding Joseph his son. Wow. So basically these are the origins of the Day of Atonement. You know what I'm saying? Because basically some of the tribes, basically what it's coming down to in a nutshell is some of the tribes of Israel, you know what I'm saying, bullied other tribes of the house of Israel. And in the Most High's eyes, that's wicked and that's evil. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we have to have a cleansing once a year to cleanse ourselves from the wickedness of our forefathers. And that's deep, y'all. Ooh, that's deep knowledge. Starting back at verse 19. And this day has been ordained that they should grieve thereon for their sins, and for all their transgressions, and for all their errors. so that they may cleanse themselves on the day once a year. And after Joseph perished, the sons of Jacob took unto themselves wives. The name of Reuben's wife is Ada, and the name of Simeon's wife is Abida, a Canaanite. And the name of Levi's wife is Milcah, of the daughters of Aram, of the seed of the sons of Terah. And the name of Judah's wife, Betazuel, a Canaanite. And the name of Issachar's wife, Hezekiah. And the name of Zebulon's wife, Neeman. And the name of Dan's wife, Eglah. And the name of Naphtali's wife, Rashu, of Mesopotamia. And the name of Gad's wife, Makkah. And the name of Asher's wife, Ajonah. And the name of Joseph's wife, Asina, the Egyptian. And the name of Benjamin's wife, Ijisaka. And Simeon repented and took a second wife from Mesopotamia as his brothers. All praise to the power of the Son of Man, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for two powerful chapters of Jubilees, chapter 33 and chapter 34. Let me clap it up for chapter 34, because again, that showed the origins. Important chapter, because that showed the origins of the Day of Atonement, which I never knew. And I'm so glad. All praise to the Most High for revealing that unto me. Because I mean, I knew what the Day of Atonement was, again, based off of what Moses said, but I didn't know the origins of it. You know what I'm saying? From the wickedness, again, of our forefathers. You know what I'm saying? Framing that Joseph was dead and he really wasn't. With that being said, all praise again to the power of the Son of Man, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Father, I am that I am, and for him sending his only begotten Son, the Son of Man, to finally come and save the small remnant that's left of the house of Israel that's trying their hardest to please the Most High in these last days. Keep your head up, Israel, in spiritual Jacob's trouble. All praise. Shalom.